Dear friends and brothers and sisters who are known by various names in the past prior to the inauguration of the Constitution of India. Yes, depressed classes are the untouchables. And subsequent to the establishment of the Constitution of India, as the ruling law of this land, known as scheduled classes. I would like to appeal to you on this occasion of the 66th anniversary of the great departure of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, the only father who has cared for us and the only mother who nurtured us with the spirit of courage and independence. And he is the only guardian who has protected us from the evils of the designs of the enemies or our adversaries that plagued us in the past so many hundreds of years. Dear brothers and sisters, it is a remarkable departure in the history of India that the Constitution of India has for the first time denouncing and discarding the erstwhile wrong ideals of the people who came into this country long ago and still refuse to get mingled, get amalgamated into a one nation, one people. And such is the power of the Constitution of India, which has declared and made itself evident, constitutionally and legally evident to this entire world, that we are all created equal. And we have been created equal in terms of liberty, equality, and fraternity, and in terms of our inalienable dignity by the Constitution itself. Such is the greatest departure of this Constitution, the epistemological and constitutional and intellectual legal breakthrough that it has affected in this country's psyche. If this Constitution has given birth to us as independent, sovereign people, and our communities are no longer to be pitted against the others in the scales of contempt and reverence, which are so irrational and unacceptable to the human intellect and courage, and human progress and prosperity, and human happiness and conscience. If that is the case, and if this is the greatest Magna Carta of this country that established the rule of law and the equality of man and woman, then this great constitutional law has to be celebrated. And the greatest brain behind the drafting of this Constitution has to be given his due. Even though 66 years have gone, he still is being neglected, ignored by those who have so much things to lose, which they have held upon so far, like the parasites on the psyche and the resources of this country. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, if we take the last 66 years of our struggle to gain access to power, to gain self-confidence, and to build up a psychology wherein we can be informed of our own inner vitals and organic strength, I see that we have come up with very pathetic vocabulary, which is not matching to the spirit and energy of Dr. Ambedkar, the vision and the roadmap that he has laid to us for progress and growth and prosperity. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, if you see that the word Dalit you have adopted as a quintessential expression of your psychic sufferings and material deprivation, I am here to say that, and I have that confidence and conviction of intellectual clarity to say that the word has not traveled much into any annals of history, or it has not made any psychological advancement of our people to that extent that we need that this word to be retained. And I believe that this word has to be discarded. The word Dalit did not give any much required spirit and motivation and a kind of celebrable public identity to us. Therefore, it needs to be discarded. And we need to come out with a terminology which will give a true reflection of our identity, our consciousness as a human being, our inalienable identity to be a human being on this earth, and particularly this country which belongs to us, to which we originate by the principle of origin in the soil. Less naturalis, that doctrine which says that one who is born in this country is the citizen of this country. If that is the case, and by that logic and by that canons of legality of citizenship, we stand as the first citizens of this country. We are the makers of this country as Jambudvipa. Therefore, my dear brothers, that to call us as Mool Nivasis, though it is a correct term in expressing our historical a priority when compared to the exodus of these migrants, illegal migrants who refuse to be identified and fused with this country's blood and life and culture, then this word, though important as a Mool Nivasi, it still is not free from the stigma of being identified as an aboriginal. We are the originals. There is no question of being aboriginals. We are the normals. We are not to be identified as the abnormals. Therefore, the aboriginal term is not acceptable to us. Even though it is clothed in Mool Nivasi, we are the root people of this country. We can be said as the root people of this country to that extent it is acceptable. But the word in Sanskrit or in Hindi as Mool Nivasi doesn't give any kind of superiority, any kind of playing of leveling of the field to us in comparison with the adversaries who have developed, who have systematically created a violent system of destroying the psyche and the energy of the people and artificially compartmentalizing the people so that they can never meet each other. So those who cannot, those so that they cannot touch and understand each other's feelings. Such a system of tyranny of classification of people into different compartments has to be discarded and it has to be publicly denounced. Therefore, we need a new term. The word Dalit, which means broken, needs to be thrown out. I said to you earlier. And I also say that the word Mool Nivasi itself is not bringing out the true essence, the psychic strength that we need to project and to publicly announce and espouse. And it is also an unfortunate state of affairs to look into the Constitution, whether it can give us a kind of great ameliorating identity. I find that under Article 346, we are called as scheduled castes, one who has the great number of people, a distinct national minority, which opposed to tooth and nail against the word and the system of caste, has to be unfortunately identified as scheduled caste. Therefore, I do not believe that the Constitution has given a happy terminology for our nomenclature for us to be identified proudly in the public domain or in our inner spirit that we can call ourselves very proudly as scheduled caste. The word casta, which inspires a stinking kind of hatred and negativity, has to be discarded. As in the Annihilation of Caste, Dr. Ambedkar says, an educated man can be still called as an educated man without being labeled as a Brahman. Or a brave man can be called as a brave man even without being labeled as Kshatriya. Or a wealth pursuer or a person who is in industrious can be called by any other name than being called as Vaisya and like that. Therefore, these stinking labels have to be thrown out. If at all we have to have a new India, new psyche and new lexicon, national lexicon has to come in. That is what Dr. Ambedkar heralded for and envisaged and contemplated. If that is the case, if he has paid so much attention to the vocabulary as to who and the taxonomy and the nomenclature as to how we have to name ourselves, then we have, I am sorry to say, failed to take up the important task of naming ourselves. That has been told by Dr. Ambedkar. So far we have not taken it account to go forward and name ourselves in a dignifying manner. So, the unpleasant not desirable. The terminology which is repugnant to the spirit of liberty, equality, and dignity, namely the scheduled caste, the word casta has to be thrown out, discarded forthwith. We have to either call ourselves as constitutionally preferred communities or constitutionally prioritized communities, and if not, we may have to go for calling ourselves as not scheduled classes but rather preferred communities. That would be a better way to put us in the public psyche, in the eyes of the public domain, in the public sphere, as enabling vocabulary to identify ourselves. The importance of naming ourselves leads to a kind of collective formation of a collective conscience. The organic solidarity, the consciousness, the public consciousness that we have to create, forge and foster for ourselves has to be a very dignifying one. Therefore, my dear brothers, those who have been in the parliament, in the state legislative assemblies, they have failed in their duty to create a new terminology to us. Even the funny thing in this thing is that the schedule itself is not a schedule as the schedule of separation of powers, things like that, which find as a part, integral part of the constitution in the form of annexes. The schedule that we are being referred to is a kind of fraud on the Constitution of India, because the schedule that is mentioned is in the list of order, in the presidential order in which the word schedule is being mentioned. And it is not a constitutionally defined definition or constitutionally enshrined one. It comes as an extra in the list of communities which are to be notified by the president in his separate order. The 1951 order of the president, it has a list of communities, and those communities are scheduled A, B, C like that, or schedule 1, 2, 3 like that. Therefore, the scheduled term is not defined under the constitution. And the word caste is repugnant to the entire being of Dr. Ambedkar, the entire life struggle of Dr. Ambedkar. He wanted to destroy the caste system. You read Annihilation of Caste. That is where he is telling how the word caste is a stinking label, and how we have to go for a new ideals, how we have to destroy the old ideals. If that is the case, the constitution, which has come as a powerful antidote to destroy the caste system, we have failed, and I don't know why the word casta has not been removed in this country. Yes, in the name of the X terminology, in the name of the erstwhile caste, if anybody is subjected to cruelty or any kind of inhuman treatment, or if his fundamental rights are violated, or the promised powers and privileges as per the Constitution's preamble are violated, in that case, the law will be coming to their rescue, and it will safeguard their dignity and restore their pride and respect. That kind of drafting could have been done. It is not that necessary that caste has to exist, that too with the depressed, with the people who have been historically wronged. So, the word caste has to go away from the scheduled caste definition. And even the word schedule also has to go away. Instead, we have to have a new terminology, which I propose can be preferred communities. And then, my dear brothers, I see that we have not come across, we have not created words as abolitionists. Or we could have called ourselves as annihilationists. The annihilationist movement of the people who are rooted in this country against caste system. Like that, we could have created terminology. If annihilation of caste is the agenda of Dr. Ambedkar and he has given it to us, we could have called ourselves as annihilationists. We could have called ourselves as abolitionists. We have not done it. And we could have called ourselves as constitutionalists. That also we have not done. We could have called ourselves as the original Buddhist. That also we have not done. We called ourselves we were happy to be called ourselves as Neo-Buddhists by the others. We are not to be identified and named by others as Navayanist. We could have called ourselves as Bhimayanists. Bhimayana could have been a better terminology to give credit and respect and honor to Dr. Ambedkar, who has brought in the turning of the wheel of Dhamma of the Lord Tathagata in this country after long times, after the great Emperor Asok Chakravarti. Therefore, my dear friends, we have to go for new terminologies. We can call ourselves as annihilationists. We can call ourselves as reconstructionists of the society. We can call ourselves as the constitutional social orderists. We can call ourselves as the constitutionalists. We can call ourselves as the original Buddhist. We could have called ourselves as the Asokanites. We have failed to create new ideology and terminology. Beamites, we can call ourselves as Beamites. We can call ourselves as the brand of Buddhism that has been brought in by Dr. Ambedkar can be called as Bhimayana. In the Bhimayana, we come to know that Buddhism is the fountainhead of liberty, equality and fraternity. And it envisaged a democratic way of living, that is associated way of life, wherein social endosmosis, social amalgamation will be there, where each one will be valued for his contribution and each one will be free to take up the choice of profession by way of training and experience and education. If that is the case, we could have called ourselves as enlighteners, the new enlightenment movers, prime movers, new enlightenment thinkers. We have failed to call ourselves in a very, very ameliorating terms. Very stinking terms like Savarnas versus Savarnas are being used by our Hindi belt people. I don't know why you should still take up the words of the enemy and struggle in it and get suffocated in it. What is so great in those words, Avarna and Savarna? How does it give us consciousness and clarity as to the injustice that has been imposed on us by these words? Therefore, we have to discard the words Savarna and Avarna. We can call ourselves as sovereign communities and the enemies who have inflicted injustice and violence and rejection on us. Yes, aliens. We can call ourselves as sovereigns and we can call them as aliens. We can call ourselves as a native royal tribes, royal communities, and the enemies as the illegal infiltrators and migrants, illegal migrants, haggards, outlawed people who infiltrate into this country, seeking bread and butter in this country. So that kind of new terminologies we should create, and that way we will be able to create a royal conscience. The teachings of Lord Buddha is called the Rajavidya, the royal science. The teachings of Lord Buddha is called Rajaguhya, the royal secrets. And the yoga that is being taught by Lord Buddha is called Raja Yoga, the royal yoga. Therefore, my dear brothers, the royal philosophy of Lord Buddha, the royal sage, the Raja Rishi's royal philosophy has to be Raja Vidya of the Raja Yogi, Raja Muni, Sakya Rajasimha has to be recognized. Similarly, the Raja Magadhe, Asoka's ideals have to be brought into practice by us. We have to call ourselves as kings and philosophers, Raja Rishis, Dharmarajas. That should be there. And it may be sounding too paternalistic. We may devise appropriate words to indicate the great Ranis and the queens and the princesses who have been Buddhists and who have established this country into a great intellectually and morally superior society and nation. Further, my dear brothers, my dear sisters and brothers, I tell you, Buddhism, unlike other religions, is the religion by kings, for kings, and of kings. The Bhima Raja has come to create, to rekindle that royal consciousness in us, that royal spirit in us, that royal consciousness in us, and that royal, manners in us, royal awakening in us, royal behavior in us, and royal existence in us. Therefore, my dear friends and my sisters and brothers, let us reinvent and rekindle our spirit of royalty and move forward to bring in a democratic kingdom of the rule of law of the great Buddha, the great Tathagata. And that way, we will be able to do justice. The caravan will be going in the right direction. We can call ourselves as the caravanists. We have to come up with the royal vocabulary and the royal law of justice, equality, fraternity, and liberty. Therefore, my dear brothers, please go back to Article 38. In that, the great royal sage, Dr. Baba Sahib, says that we have to constitute a social order in which justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity will flow into all the walks of the national institutions and the society. Let us, come out with the agenda of Article 38. And towards that royal road, let us royally move and achieve it royally. Let the Raja Dharma of Asoka Chakravarti, let the royal philosophy of Lord Buddha, let the royal efforts of Dr. Ambedkar bear fruits to us to be royals in this country. Prabuddha Bharatam, Vande Prabuddha Bharatam, Vande Prabuddha Bharatam. Let us herald an enlightened India.